Previously on WandaVision.
Apple Vision Pro will introduce us to spatial computing.
Not what I had in mind, not yet.
Well, the time has come. In 2021's Marvel series WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff creates a mixed reality experience. The series leans into drama, comedy and action, but is rather light on technical details of how that mixed reality is constructed, which leaves the audience wondering.
What's your secret, sister?
No answers. Zip, zero, zip. Nada, niente.
Alright then, today we're going to deconstruct the reality of mixed reality to try and solve the mystery. In 1968, Ivan Sutherland and his students at the University of Utah developed a prototype for a head-mounted display system. It was so massive the system had to be suspended from the ceiling, and yet the head-mounted part followed your head movements, projecting digital images over the real-world environment in real time. It is considered to be the first mixed reality headset.
That's something special, baby.
Right. Technically speaking, there are distinctions between mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality. I'll spare you the definitions though, as they don't really matter for the purposes of this episode. Let me just use mixed reality as a catch-all term. For time's sake, I'll also skip the whole history of mixed reality devices and jump straight to the current state of the art, Apple Vision Pro.
Let's start there.
Shall we break down how it works, in the hope it will give us some clues about how Wanda did it? There are three key ingredients to creating a mixed reality experience. Sutherland considered achieving sensory realism to be the most important challenge.
The screen is a window through which one sees a virtual world. The challenge is to make that world look real, act real, sound real, feel real.
60 years later, we still haven't made much progress in making virtual worlds feel real to touch, let alone smell or taste real. Which is a bummer, as I'm sure we're all wondering what those overdue tasks actually smell like. Of all the senses, sound is where we've made the most progress.
Sounds can come from all directions, creating a 360-degree world of holograms. Spatial sound can also be effective in getting the user's attention. A sound can indicate the direction to turn to, or let the user know that there are more holograms around them in the world.
What you hear is critical to how you perceive the world. We wanted sound to feel like it was coming from the space around you, blending with the real world. Your brain is totally convinced that sounds are coming from the environment around you. Vision Pro matches the sound to your room by analyzing the features and materials of your space.
Visual realism, on the other hand, is still a work in progress. The Vision Pro has the best displays of any consumer headset.
It starts with a micro OLED Apple Silicon backplane that fits 64 pixels in the space of a single iPhone pixel. They're just 7.5 microns wide. Combined, Vision Pro has 23 million pixels across two panels that are each just the size of a postage stamp. Fine text looks super sharp from any angle. This is critical for browsing the web, reading messages, and writing emails.
And even that's not always enough to make it feel truly seamless.
The pass-through cameras, in my opinion, remain the weakest point of the Vision OS experience. I tried to cook at night in my very bright kitchen with this thing on. I'm a good cook and I don't really need to look at my hands that much when I'm cutting, for example, but my eyes still got exhausted trying to see through all the noise and focus on stuff less than 3 feet away from me.
That said, it can look pretty impressive.
I watched Pixar's Elemental in 3D, and not only was it a cute movie that was the best 3D experience I've ever had, but it was perhaps one of the best movie watching experiences I've ever had, period.
The second ingredient is environmental awareness. To properly place digital objects, a mixed reality system needs to understand where you are and what's around you, as well as who's around you. Digital objects need to be lit correctly and cast shadows on real surfaces to look as if they are part of your physical space. You shouldn't be able to see them if physical objects are obstructing the view. Even when you're fully immersed in a virtual environment, you'd still want the system to be aware of your surroundings. The Vision Pro supports pass-through for your hands, external keyboards, and when someone comes close, which will hopefully help you avoid situations like this. The addition of a whole new spatial dimension brings many new considerations for user interface design. Should an app remain flat, or would it benefit from being three-dimensional? Which UI elements should stay close to the app, and which ones should be brought closer to you, like the presenter's panel in Keynote? How should the app indicate whether a 3D object is scaled, or shown at actual size, so you know that it would fit in your room should you buy it? Now it also matters where apps sit in relation to physical objects.
This is just the coolest.
It makes perfect sense to leave certain apps on the walls at home, while taking others with you on a trip. Ingredient number 3 is natural interaction, which basically means being able to interact with digital objects in natural ways without the need for special controllers. With the Vision Pro, you select a digital object simply by looking at it. If you use corrective lenses, you pair them with the device simply by looking at a QR code. Pinch your fingers to click, flick your wrist to scroll. At the moment, the Vision Pro doesn't support headshakes and nods the way AirPods do, but that feels so natural, I bet it's coming soon.
I just declined a call. It's that simple.
You can type by tapping buttons on an Air keyboard. Sorry, wrong footage.
This is typing. One big problem.
Interacting with digital objects by hitting thin air is where the mixed reality illusion starts to fall apart. For digital objects to feel real, they need to provide some kind of haptic feedback. Besides, even when interacting with physical objects, we often use tools for efficiency and precision. So, while not essential, you can still use tools like an external keyboard, VR controllers, and special pens.
So now I'm going to draw a second line. And even a third one.
Sorry, wrong footage again. What is up with me today?
It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Am I right?
And special pens. But one of the most natural ways to interact is just by moving your body, which is of course fertile ground for all sorts of fitness games.
Listen, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to dig deep.
Oh no.
Sometimes, all it takes to encourage a bit of natural movement is cleverly placed visuals, like this example that makes hoovering that much more fun for when you need a bit of extra motivation to do the chores. Audio-visual realism, environmental awareness, and natural interaction together create a convincing illusion of being immersed in a mixed reality.
Today, we will lie to you, and yet you will believe our little deceptions, because human beings are easily fooled.
The scale of mixed reality depends on the use case. Sometimes it just means adding a few digital objects into your actual space. Or it can open a window into a different space and time. You can imagine how in the future you'll be able to step right inside your memories.
Mama. Zdravo. Uvek srce šta.
Or it can completely replace your current space with a different one.
You see me standing in my office, but I'm actually standing on the stage at the Steve Jobs Theater.
Mixed reality devices enable ultimate portability. Want to bring a full-size piano to work?
That was my grandmother's piano.
Fit a cinema into your carry-on?
I definitely can see the appeal of using this while traveling.
You can enjoy a movie while the seats and sounds around you disappear.
Or maybe take your ultraviolet monitor to the beach.
Take me to the beach!
as Sutherland noted back in 1965.
There is no reason why the objects displayed by a computer have to follow the ordinary rules of physical reality with which we are familiar. Concepts which never before had any visual representation can be shown. A display could literally be the wonderland into which Alice walked.
Put simply, mixed reality gives you superpowers. See context at a glance. Zoom in on any part of your space. Instantly find what you're looking for on a cluttered desk. The possibilities are virtually endless. We talked about magical user interfaces in the previous episode. Well, the continuous illusion of mixed reality is like having
Magic on autopilot.
Right, back to the real investigation. Well, case closed, innit? Wanda bought a Vision Pro to create the mixed reality experience. Makes total sense, but just to double check. Did not spend 3,500 quid. There's no factual basis. Not a real event. Huh.
You can create big impact with small effects. In the cinema, a subtle light reflecting on the floor and ceiling gives a convincing sense of space. You don't need to render all the details of a real theater to convey the feeling of being in one. Do more with less.
In other words, you don't always need hyper-realism to make an experience moving.
You may not have been to the metaverse yet, but these cows are already working there. Turkish cattle breeder Izzet Koçak outfitted his animals with virtual reality glasses to simulate vast pastures and sunny skies.
A spokesperson for the Agriculture Ministry said, during the first test, experts recorded a decrease in anxiety and an increase in the overall emotional mood of the herd.
The headsets were originally tested out in Russia before Izzet got his hands on them. He says they've been such a success, he's ordering 10 more for his herd.
Expect Google and Facebook to think of ways to start showing these cows ultra-annoying personalized ads.
Okay, so how do you create mixed reality without some fancy 3D visuals? Well, mobile phones are actually perfect for that. Crammed with all kind of sensors. They know where they are, can analyze what they see through the camera, and respond to how you hold them. Take this example of a phone helping with indoor navigation, like finding something on campus or getting to a specific product in a massive store. Nowhere near as immersive as the Vision Pro, it still feels like a little window into the mixed reality realm. Even without the mixed reality view, a phone can feel like an artifact from the digital world that's inextricably tied to the physical plane. The Find My app guides you to an air tag using an arrow, an approximate distance, sounds and haptic feedback. Very light on visuals, it nevertheless prompts the natural interaction of moving towards the physical item you're looking for. And the most prominent example, of course, is
Pokemon Go craze, it's sweeping the nation.
Pokemon Go is a cultural moment. It's one of the biggest Pokemon video games of all time, and
it's the new national obsession. People across America and even the world are taking to the streets looking for these little animated critters.
Rather than simple GPS locations, you even have other factors like terrain type coming into play. Based on this data, the type of Pokemon will vary accordingly, whether that's primarily rocky or grassy or if there's water nearby.
It's got me outside a lot more than I have been recently. So I've walked probably 30-40 kilometers playing it over the last week.
Couple of months after the launch, the NHS even published a blog post titled
NHS can learn from Pokemon Go.
Well, the wait times are definitely shorter in Pokemon Go. The app essentially blends physical reality with the digital Pokemon realm, and in doing so creates a new, mixed reality space, which has proven to be dangerous like straight away. Pokemon Go was released in the UK on the 14th of July 2016, and this is a BBC headline from the 15th.
Pokemon Go teens stuck in caves 100 feet underground. I crashed my car playing Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go players in Bosnia warned to watch out for minefields.
Jeez. You see, the introduction of a new realm redefines the meaning of the physical space it's blended with. Drop some rare Pokemon into a local park for a limited time and suddenly it's not just a park anymore.
Oh, it's Torchic!
It is! And...
Wait, what?
Hey, Totodile! Oh, where are you going? Looks like they're all here!
This ability to drive traffic, of course, presents a business opportunity.
The coffee house chain announced that about 7,800 Starbucks stores across the United States are becoming Pokestops. 3,000 McDonald's restaurants in Japan also became gyms.
But messing with the meaning of real places can be inappropriate too. Not the physical act of swiping on a phone, but the underlying meaning behind it.
Pokemon Go. US Holocaust Museum asks players to stay away.
The trend has also reached the Vatican, where rumor has it Arceus, the Pokemon god, is located.
A Yekaterinburg court ruled on May 11th that Russian blogger Ruslan Sokolovsky was guilty of inciting religious hatred for posting videos of himself playing Pokemon Go in a local church. The 22-year-old was given a 3.5-year suspended sentence, meaning he will not have to go to prison. Sokolovsky was visibly relieved.
So, is that how Wanda created her mixed reality experience? By using a contextually aware mobile device that allowed for natural interaction?
No.
And there were things that I resented about computers. I resented the fact that I had to sit down to use them. I resented the fact that I was using a 100-year-old device to operate them, a keyboard, and the fact that I was using, that it was denying that I had a body of any kind, and that it wasn't perceptual, it was all sort of symbolic. And I was trying to find out the best way of making a computer, and I started thinking that artists had the best relationship, artists and musicians had the best relationships with their tools.
Around the same time, Sutherland was experimenting with his idea of mixed reality. Myron Kruger began exploring his own. If Sutherland's vision was about achieving hyperrealism, Kruger's focus was on how the system responded to the user.
The beauty of the visual and oral response is secondary. Response is the medium.
The combination of his work exploring the art of interactivity was video plays, an artificial reality exhibit he created together with his colleagues.
Since '84, Katrin Henriksen, who's over here, has been working with me and has done much of the technical work.
Would you be so good as to tell me what it is we do here exactly?
Yeah. In video plays, each user was represented by a silhouette in a shared environment. Using that silhouette, you could interact with digital objects and with other silhouettes, even if the people controlling them were in separate rooms. Most notably, users didn't need to wear headsets or some special gloves. The silhouettes simply reflected the user's actual movements. So, it is possible to create mixed reality experiences without advanced environmental awareness. The trick is to be clever about designing the interactions so the technology doesn't have to be. Like the system which projects a digital layer directly onto the floor. 50 years later, after video plays, interacting with digital objects simply by moving your body without the need for headsets or controllers is still a blast. Scale the idea down a bit and you've got a digital layer projected onto a ping pong table instead of the whole floor. The projections bring more games to the, well, table and automatically keep score. And honestly, bouncing a ball to press buttons feels weirdly satisfying. Here's the real kicker. Technology doesn't even have to be interactive to spark mixed reality interaction. The Portal is an installation by a Lithuanian artist Benediktas Gilis that connected Dublin and New York. It's essentially a screen showing a live feed from the other city. The Portal doesn't react to people's actions, and yet it encourages interaction. In fact, some interactions were so intense they had to temporarily shut down the Portal.
One of you guys pulled out your phone in the portal and showed a picture of the Twin Towers after they had been hit? Yeah, how are we supposed to get revenge for that? What am I going to go up to the portal, show no potatoes?
But nothing beats the wild antics of this woman in New York. She lifted her shirt and flashed stunned onlookers in Ireland. The portal was shut down soon after.
What can I say? Some people are a bit juvenile.
Ralph Boner?
Boner.
The thing is, it's unlikely she'd have done the same in front of some random CCTV. It was the portal itself that prompted that kind of behavior. The catch? All of those examples are tied to a specific space. But Wanda could have created her mixed reality in any town, not just Westview. The key to understanding Wanda's method is figuring out how you might design around that limitation without relying on audio-visual realism or environmental awareness.
I have a theory, but I need more.
Raise the gates. Runner 5 ready. Gates are open, covering fire, and go.
Zombies Run is about running. And you are being chased by zombies. You basically put your headphones in, you go and press run, and when you're running, you go and hear instructions, you go and hear the story.
You're trying to build up the city that you live in, trying to collect supplies. There's nothing out there that's got a real story where you find out more about what's going on every time you go out running.
Listening to an audio narration while doing an activity. On the surface, it works a lot like an audio guide. You're listening to a narration that's designed to blend with your physical surroundings. But, unlike museum guides, Zombies Run isn't tied to any specific location.
You're even running illusions miles away at the edge of town!
A 2013 study of the app with a group of runners showed that, unlike listening to audiobooks or podcasts, Zombies Run provided enhanced opportunities for runners to feel like they're actually navigating through a mixed reality space. Wait, have I written? Zombies Run was released in 2012. Almost a decade later, in 2021, Apple introduced Time to Walk. With this Fitness Plus feature, you can go for a walk while listening to a celebrity walking in another location, talking about their life and sharing some of their favorite songs. Unlike a podcast interview with the same celebrities, Time to Walk narrations are designed to make it feel like you're walking alongside them.
It feels a bit like you're going out for a walk with someone because you can hear birds chirping, you can hear the gentle footsteps of your walking partner, you hear bikes whoosh by and light chit-chat in the distance.
So while I was walking, Uzo was also walking through Fort Greene Park in Brooklyn, New York. It was an interesting experience because it felt like I was walking alongside her.
About a year later, Apple added Time to Run. The idea is the same, running together with someone in a different location, except here you team up with Fitness Plus coaches rather than celebrities. About a year after that, in 2023,
It is a beautiful day in Asgard, mortal. Ready to start your training? Smell that air, Loki. Adventure awaits. Onwards!
X-Men, Storm. A little help?
Already on it.
Go, recruit!
You've run 2 miles in 13 minutes, 45 seconds.
not just inspired by Zombies Run, Marvel Move is actually part of the original Zombies Run app. The brilliance of Zombies Run is in its choice of constraints. Rather than tying the app to a single location, the designers limit it to a single activity: running. Sure, there are limitations to that approach. It doesn't work for every runner, and it does require an active suspension of disbelief, even more so than other types of media fiction. And yet, it is capable of creating the experience of running in a mixed reality space without the need for expensive displays, with hyper-realistic visuals, with minimal environmental awareness or responsiveness to the runner's actions. More than that, studies of mixed reality stories have demonstrated how some runners become proactive in completing the illusion. Like in one of the stories, the protagonist needed to find a nondescript lake, but the participant listening to the story was running through the Melbourne Uni campus, where there was no lake. So instead, the runner imagined that the campus swimming pool was the lake and changed direction accordingly. The most engaged runners created the mixed reality experience through the power of their imagination. And that's exactly how Wanda did it. Devastated by the loss of her parents, then her brother, then her beloved Vision, Wanda comes to the town where she and Vision were supposed to build a home and live happily ever after. She blends the reality that could have been with the physical reality of the town around her, using the power of her imagination. Hey, yeah, I'm Alex from the internet. I'm passionate about getting people outside the tech industry interested in user experience, research and design. Check out previous episodes on Severance productivity and the difference between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings in the context of magical user interfaces. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes on how mobile phones and AI have changed photography.
The whole Pandora's box of what is a photo.
And how the critically acclaimed video game Hades helps us understand the nature of Apple events. See you on the internet. I'm not going to do the line. It's a great line. It's not relevant to the topic of this episode. So no, I'm not going.
But what is grief, if not love persevering?